All right. Welcome back to a new episode of the Community Collective. I am Johnny B. Good, the flip-flop agent. And man, oh man, we got a fun guest today.
We do.
We've talked to some doctors, we've talked to some dentists, we talked to some of these business owners. But the most exciting thing is all three of us are sitting here and we're wearing the flippy floppies.
Oh, we
baby.
are.
We are three men in solidarity with our footwear, and I am super proud of that.
It is. I think now the new requirement. You come in for a podcast, you have to have flip-flops on.
I absolutely love it. That's the cost of entry to this here podcast. You got to stand in solidarity with the flip-flop agents. So that's amazing. Travis, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing really good. It's been a busy week, but I know we've had a lot of podcast recordings, and I always enjoy that.
I'm still dressed like a schmo, t-shirt, shorts, flip-flops,
That's
but
all
hey,
right.
man, I love being an independent business owner.
I went through, we have our yard getting mowed today, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to go pick up all these giant limbs that fell down.
Look at the big baller over here getting his lawn mowed.
I know.
Came through, and thankfully, I got it
Oh,
done.
my goodness. I started running out of time. And so we have one of our neighbors that does a great job, and I was like, yep, I will pay you to mow my yard.
Absolutely. I'm waiting. My boys are almost old enough, but also I like to have a little bit of that alone time. Listen to some additional podcasts while I'm out there mowing the lawn.
You know what, though? Growing up, I was the most exciting thing. I had to mow 5 acres about growing up. So that's why I'm a little bit tired of mowing yards. I mowed yards for a job as well. But my parents got a horse.
Oh,
and the horse took up like a year, got an acre and a half. And I was like, this is the best day ever.
Well, yeah, it's a living lawnmower.
It really is.
Well, here we are. All right. So enough of our ADHD blabber.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's enough.
But we have more entertainment.
We do. I'm really excited to talk to our good friend of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
You know, an employee with the state of Michigan.
Oh, I didn't know it was like being a state employee.
Well, we would like to welcome to the podcast Ryan Doyle, the owner and operator of Las Vegas Nights, and we're going to talk more about that. But Ryan, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Johnny. Thanks for having me. It's a beautiful day in Davison. We all got our flip-flops on, so
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to be here, and I get the pleasure of having you both here.
Yes.
That's
Well,
right.
and that's why we like doing it in person. You know, it's easy to hop on a Zoom call, but everybody has like that full body shiver. They're like, oh my God, COVID, you know, is how they're remembering life on Zoom. So to make it a little bit more comfortable, we're glad that you could take the time out of your day to join us. So, I mean, let me ask you just the first most basic question. Las Vegas Nights. We talk to so many business owners. You have the most intriguing business of any of the businesses we've talked to on the podcast.
Oh, yes.
And we're in our 4th season.
Yeah.
So take that as a compliment. I'm super stoked for today. Give us the 30-second rundown elevator pitch of what it is Las Vegas Nights does.
Well, we are a mobile casino, so we bring Las Vegas to you. That's what we do. We have just for fun casino parties wherever you want to have it. We bring everything you need for the casino. We bring it straight to you, whether you run at a venue, whether you want to have it in your backyard, you want to have it in a warehouse, wherever you want to have it, we'll bring it, we'll set it up, we'll deal with everything. We'll take that off of your plate and just everybody can come and have a great time.
I loved how he mentioned warehouse because it ties back to The Office.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I'm
Just thinking
rewatching The
about
Office
this.
and I'm like, oh, dude, a warehouse casino party?
Vegas
I am
night?
in,
Yeah,
baby. I am in. So that's
Oh,
fantastic.
that
I
really
love
is.
that. Well, let's jump right into the first question. So you've been bringing the excitement, and there is palpable excitement when it comes to casino gaming, as I've experienced in my very short 42 years, you know, and you've been bringing these events to Michigan for over 30 years. Now, I don't know if it's been you specifically or if you were involved with the company prior. We can talk about that. But what do you believe sets your company apart from other, you know, entertainment services, other things that people can do? Because we're always looking for something unique. But what really sets you guys apart in that regard?
Right, so let me ask you guys first. Have you guys ever been to one of our events?
I have not.
I have not either.
Well,
myself.
Good thing
Yeah.
I'm here then.
It really is.
I know.
Not-
Where's the roulette, Brad?
This could have
not
been a good
today.
opportunity.
But, you know, we've all been there. Not every event can be a quarter mania,
Sure.
you know, so
Yes.
there's plenty of events, that boring work event, that boring business meeting.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a fundraiser, sometimes it's a wedding. Whatever it is, you're just waiting until you can kind of make your escape.
Right.
And
I
get
showed my face. Yes.
Right. And nobody wants to be the host or the guest at one of those types of events. So, you know, Las Vegas Nights, we're not just a casino rental company. We're really, in my mind, a gateway to unforgettable experiences.
Hmm.
So we've been bringing the thrill of Las Vegas to Michigan for 30 years, like you mentioned. And I feel like what sets us apart is our commitment to creating that unique, personalized event.
Yeah.
So, we listen to what the client's looking for and what theme they're thinking about going with, and we work to make our best recommendation that we can to make that happen. So we don't just rent tables, we try and curate experiences.
Mm.
We utilize our team of friendly dealers, our top quality equipment, and ensure that every event is going to be a night to remember for everybody that's there. Plus, we have a commitment to customer satisfaction, which means we go the extra mile to make sure our clients are thrilled and that everybody has fun. Our dealers are awesome, and they're a huge part of why everybody has such a great time.
So, to my understanding, and again, we've all been to, Travis and I, I'm sure we've both been to poker nights with
Oh, yeah.
buddies, bachelor parties, whatever else. But you guys, so it's the entire experience. You bring the equipment, the dealers, the chips, like all of that. All of that comes with you, right?
Yep, we can supply
wow.
all of those things. We typically do, and some of the times that we don't, I'll talk about a little bit later when I talk
Perfect.
about certain situations. But yeah, the only thing that we don't provide is chairs, and usually whatever venue
Mhm.
or place that you're having it has chairs. In the rare case that you just can't find any chairs, we do have some tables. Some tables are stand-up tables anyway. Craps, roulette,
Right.
those are stand-up tables.
All
But
the fun games.
all right, so but the sit-down games we can put extendable legs on those, and so we do have a few tables that we can turn into stand-up tables. If space is an issue too, we can do that. It takes up a little less space to have people stand around those tables.
Oh, that's amazing. All right,
Yeah.
interrupt.
No,
No.
chairs, and then really the only other thing is if people want to do prizes at the end of the night or something, they have to provide those prizes. But yeah, otherwise we bring everything you need. We take care of it. We set it up. We try and work with the venue
Mhm.
and make sure everything's just going to flow well. We want to take as much stress off of our client as we can.
No, that's great. Okay.
So I'm really fascinated too. You guys have been doing this for 30 years. And I think Ryan's only like 31, right? Yeah.
Definitely his
No.
early 30s.
So kind of, explain that 30 years. I mean, that's a milestone of doing this successfully and people wanting to
Yeah,
have that excitement.
just the simple fact
Yeah.
that it's 30 years.
Mhm.
Most businesses fail after a few years. So I mean,
Right.
to have this longevity, I mean, yeah, please speak a little bit more about
Phil's
that.
in that 30
Sure,
year
yeah.
history.
So my dad and some of his buddies, when I was just a small fry, he started the business. One of his friends came back. He was a dealer out in Las Vegas. He came back to Michigan and they started the business. I remember being out there and helping my dad stapling tables out in the garage, and they're building tables. And so I've been around it since I was a little guy. Growing up and going to school, and I would help my dad set up these parties, and I would
Mhm.
go deal these parties. I was a dealer at them. Then I went off to school for a while up in the UP, and came back and kind of started my family life. And got away from a lot of it other than dealing occasionally at
Mhm.
that point. But they got into their retirement mode and they were just doing the events that they wanted to do at that point, and they got to the point where they were just done, and
Mhm.
they were trying to sell the company to somebody that wanted to buy it and keep running it instead of just parting it out basically and
Sure.
selling off the tables. They didn't really have much interest in it from the other companies that were around to grow. They were kind of the size that they wanted to be already.
Mhm.
So they were kind of to the point where they were going to part it out. They're
Sure.
just going to sell off all this stuff. And said, no, I don't want to see this company end. And I like working on the tables. So I decided in February of 2020 to buy the company.
What impeccable timing.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
if I waited a few months, I probably could have got it for a fraction of the price. But yeah, so I purchased it then, and yeah, we've been running with it since. I mean, it did, even though I think we had maybe 2 events in 2020, it did give me a chance to upgrade all the equipment,
Mm.
kind of turn it into our company.
Sure.
The things that I saw that I wanted to change,
Mhm.
it gave me a chance to do that. And it was pretty good because obviously working a full-time job for the state too,
Yeah, of course.
it gave me a longer span to kind of make that stuff happen. But yeah, that's really how I got into it. I love dealing. I really love dealing the games. I love building the tables.
Mhm.
That's a lot of fun to me. I don't quite enjoy all the paperwork side of it, the finances and the marketing and all that
Spoken
stuff.
like a true business
yes.
owner.
Well, and I'm sitting here thinking too, Ryan starting so young, dealing cards and working for
Right.
his dad. Johnny, do you have a kid that would say, yeah, I want to do this too?
Oh, all four of my kids.
Oh, I
That's
think
what-
both mine would. I think one of them, my kids might be a little bit more entertaining than the other one.
Sure.
But I think the other one would be just straight face, like I'm
Right.
not gonna take anything from anyone here.
Right.
Like I'm just gonna give it to you. Yeah. So did any of your friends growing up like, man, we're not playing cards with Ryan? Like, did you have that, or like, hey, let's go to Ryan's house, we can play cards or anything?
We played a lot of cards. We had a group that we played, dealer choice poker quite a bit. But yeah, I love playing cards. It runs in that side, my dad's side of the family. Every family event, everything we're playing something.
Right.
I think probably you'd be hard pressed to find a game I don't know. I don't know pinochle.
I don't even know how to spell that.
Yeah.
So we're good.
You got a few years to learn that one then, right?
Yeah, but yeah, it's in it. My oldest son, he's 14 now, or 13. He'll be 14 in a few months, but he's really getting into it now too. I told him he's got to
That
be
is.
practicing his shuffling. As soon as you can shuffle a lot better. I said he already wants to work parties and deal. And
I'm imagining this kid at school at lunch,
Right.
shuffling cards,
Right.
and then he's just sitting there shuffling. I like it.
No,
yeah,
Oh,
he's getting
I love it.
he's getting there. He's helping set up. He's a hard worker, so he's really taken an interest to it. And the other kids haven't got into it too much yet. They like learning games, but yeah, Jackson's he's a hard worker, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of interest until maybe he goes off to school someday.
Right.
sure. Well, and I don't consider this the greatest environment. This is probably the best environment for me. Let me be clear on that. Would be your casino gaming experience, because it's not real money,
Mhm.
right? We're it's just entertainment. So I get my gambling fix, but I get to keep
You keep-
all of my money in
yeah.
my pocket.
You buy your
That's- I
ticket
think
for an
that's what I
event,
like
and
about
then
it. Yeah. So anyway, I know that we derailed you with like 3 questions
my
right
gosh.
off the rip, but do you want to finish up that question? Work
Yeah,
out?
sure. I mean, I think going back to things that set us apart, our dealers are awesome. Well, a lot of what we do at these events is teach people how to play the games.
Yes.
Because they don't have real money at risk. So it's the perfect opportunity for them to sit down, maybe a game they've never even heard of.
Right.
They learn how to play.
Like it's not as intimidating.
Right. Yep. And the dealers are great at teaching them. I'm not looking for dealers that are like the casino dealers that have to be perfect. I'm looking for people that are personable and friendly and know the games and can explain and teach these games to people, because that's mainly what we do. I do have dealers that if somebody wants to have a very professional event that have worked in casinos or are at that level that I can send. But for the most part, it's about making sure people are having fun. So yeah, that's one of the great things about our company. We do have a lot of great venues around here, and really, especially during the holidays, they're gorgeous.
Sure.
You go in these places and they're just set up beautiful. But what I really like is we'll go to a warehouse, we'll go to a barn, we'll go to a tent that's turned into a casino, and everybody forgets. They forget that that's where they are. And they forget that they're standing on the dirt floor at the fairgrounds.
Sure. Sure.
Or that they
Right.
work their 9 to 5 on that machine that's 20 feet away over there.
Right.
And it's just a night that's filled with laughter and excitement and friendly competition. I really feel like that's the Las Vegas nights experience that that we focus on. And along those lines, I'd love to invite your listeners too, if they have any memorable times at a casino event, whether it's our company or somebody else's company, jump on that Facebook post or the Community Collective YouTube page or whatever. I'd love to hear it, because we like to hear what works for people and what makes it
Sure.
great. And we want to keep incorporating those things and those special features that they love into our events. So, I would ask you, what's your favorite memory of going to a casino?
So I think one of my favorite memories, my buddy has been so insistent that I learn how to play craps. And so it was, again, I set my own schedule. That's the beauty of being an independent business owner. Love doing what I do. So I think it was like a Tuesday morning. I dropped the kids off at school, I picked him up from his house, and we went and played craps for like 4 hours. And I showed up and I think I had a couple $100 in my pocket. By the time we were done, I had close to $1,000. And shows my ignorance about the game of craps. I was doing just like the same bet over and over and over again, throwing dice, having a great time. And it just slowly accumulated over that 4 hours. Well, on our way out, I'm like, I got to play a slot machine. I mean, we're all the way down here. If I don't put at least some money in the slot machine, I would be absolutely just flummoxed that I ruined my entire experience. So I found a Wheel of Fortune machine, hit a $10 bet, did like 3 in a row. On that third one, I hit the gold spin and ended up winning like another $1,000 right off the rip. So I was like,
Oh,
this is the best Tuesday morning
this is
ever.
the best, right?
This is great. And I don't have any huge jackpots that I've won or whatever, but that one is just cemented in my mind because it was like, I should be at work right now. But this is way more entertaining. I can see how people become degenerate gamblers. We had so much fun. But I will say, early morning crowds at casinos, that's a different bunch. But that's another
That's a
conversation
whole
for
nother
another
story,
day.
right? Yeah.
How about you,
Oh
Travis?
goodness. So Ryan might not like my first answer. I grew up in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and casinos don't exist.
Sure.
We have horse racing, and so I grew up with horse racing. But once got old enough and in college, we went to Indiana.
Nice.
That never leaves the dock.
Oh,
And I had some buddies that would go every day.
there's the degenerates we were talking about.
Yes,
Right?
but I was always so fascinated at first because they started coming back, and they had like their notebooks and they were jotting down what they did, where they made their mistakes. Like I think trying to learn it more.
Wow.
And they're like, all right, let's go with you. Let's see what this is. I'm not a big risk taker, so I'm
Right.
sitting there watching them. Like, here's my $5 bet. Like, all right, now I'm gonna go to the slot machines and just have some fun there too.
Yeah.
I never won any huge jackpots, but then the only other time I was in Vegas
Yep.
was a layover. I was on my way to San Diego, and the plane landed in Vegas, and I was with my college friends.
Yeah.
And like, what are we gonna do? I was like, oh, there's a casino in the airport.
Right.
I'm like, let's just go over there for the 2-hour layover. And so we just went and had fun. I never really won much, but it was just really just for me, it was just hanging out with friends.
Right.
And to be honest, I'm a people watcher, so I loved watching those friends that were really intense about it.
Yeah.
And they brought the money
Oh yeah.
to spend, especially at the riverboat in Indiana.
Oh yeah.
But then I was like, oh, all right, let's go to horse races.
Yeah.
I think that
Oh,
was more
it's-
the fascinating part of it.
Yes.
So
There's some characters at the casinos,
Oh.
without a doubt.
yes.
Without a doubt. Now, knowing that you have this type of business and you're doing these events and stuff like that, what is your actual physical casino experience like? Do you have a lot of fun? Do you more so know the odds, so you're a little standoffish with some of that stuff? Or do you like to sit down, play some poker, some blackjack?
I'd say it's a combination of all of those things.
Yeah,
I know that there's games where the odds are really bad,
sure.
and yeah, I might like playing them, but I don't play them.
Yeah. It's because you have the knowledge.
Yeah.
Yep. I love playing craps for the reasons that you guys said, especially if I can get around a table with my buddies.
Yep.
And if we're winning, I mean, that
Oh, yeah.
combination
Oh, yeah.
right there, that's as good as it
It
gets
just
to
kind of
me. I
feeds
mean,
it,
it's,
and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I
it
gotta
is.
get going
And,
more.
blackjack, I won't play in the casino. I will
No.
not play it anymore. I
Do
lose
ya?
fast.
Yeah.
Every single time I sit down, and I just have got to the point, and I like playing it,
Sure.
but I will not play it in the casino anymore. I just gave it chance after chance after chance, and I
Right.
just lose, and not just lose, but lose instantly every time.
Right.
All my money's gone. Yeah, my whatever money that I said I was willing
Of
to
course.
lose
Right. Yeah.
is gone. But yeah, it's when I ask people that question, a lot of times I get the answer about some win that they had
Sure.
or playing with their friends, and I
Mhm.
think that's really what it's about. My wife would tell you about the time that she was just walking through the casino and decided to throw a few. She throws a 20 in a penny machine. Wants to bet, the lowest bet, whatever it is, 75 cents that she can make on there. Accidentally hits max bet. So she's freaking out because she just bet $7 on one spin, and she
Sure.
ends up hitting for like $450. or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's the
No,
business.
yeah.
That's her story. But, nobody ever answers that question with the time that they lost their car title on the roulette table.
Right.
I think that's what makes our parties exciting too. It's all for fun. Nobody's learning real hard earned money
Right.
coming to these events. So worst case, they lose all their chips, and then we'll try and help them out by giving them a few more chips. They might have to do something like sing a silly song or tell a bad dad
Oh,
joke or
I like this.
something
I got
something
dad
embarrassing
jokes
Oh,
to get
nice.
those chips. But yeah, it's all in fun.
Yes.
I also like to think of the movie, the National Lampoon, like Vegas Vacation, which
Yeah.
they go out there and like they win like 4 cars
Yes.
off of, like the quarter slots or whatever.
Rusty won everything.
Yeah, he won
That's the beauty of
everything.
it.
Yeah, it is. And then they hung out with Wayne Newton and
Yep. Right. I mean, I can rewatch The Hangover.
oh
Just-
yes,
Everything about that movie is instant classic. But yeah,
It is.
I mean, the concept behind it, and this is the way we've always looked at it as well. My wife and I, when we've gone places, you're paying for entertainment. It's like going out to a fancy dinner, going out to a movie, going to see a sports game, going to see a theater show, whatever that is, it's a commensurate amount. take what you can afford to lose, understanding that you're paying for entertainment. You might get lucky, the chance, and you might come home with some additional money. If not, though, you still go, you have a great time.
Right.
I'm with it.
Absolutely.
So I will say this. I mean, Ryan, I mean, you guys we've talked a little bit about the history and you growing up in it. But I'm thinking, like, since you've taken it over, I mean, the amount of events you've had, is there an example of one that was really memorable that you hosted and it was just special for the guests involved and it really sticks out in your mind as they've really had a blast at this and maybe they've called you back and say, hey, let's do it again next year or anything?
Yeah. So we had this wild one for a lot of reasons this past winter. It was bad weather. We had one event that canceled that night, and that left a 2-table birthday party that we had. So this dealer, Chewy, that's his nickname, Chewy.
Oh my
And
gosh.
we
This
set
guy's
off
amazing.
on this treacherous journey through this raging snowstorm to do this casino party that's down in Warren. I asked Chewy to drive because I'm like, I'm going to get some work done on the way down. Needless to say, I did not get any work done. I'm pretty sure Chewy probably lost a couple years off of his life driving. I'm pretty sure you can probably still feel his grips in the steering wheel in that vehicle. But the drive was wild. It was pretty much zero visibility. The roads were horrible. Took us about 3 hours to get there. Luckily, we knew the weather was bad. We left early. We got there, we got set up, and we're sure nobody's going to show up for this party. I mean, it's bad, but despite the bad conditions, I think just about everybody showed up. And I'm dealing blackjack at this party, and immediately the birthday boy comes over. He sits down at my table. He just goes on this huge winning streak. It's this massive chip stack, and I mean, more chips than I've ever seen anybody win at one of these events playing blackjack. Yeah, I
Wow.
might see him hit the number on the roulette wheel a bunch of times, end up with a bunch of, but playing blackjack, I've never seen anybody win this many chips. He
Sure.
just could not lose. So, he's laughing, he's teasing his buddies. He's just having a grand time, right? So this next hand, he gets a pair of fours. And in this situation, normally you would not split a pair of fours, but he can't lose.
Right.
Can't lose.
Right.
So he splits his fours. Gets another four. Splits. Another one.
Oh my gosh.
I've never seen this before either. He's probably 7 or 8 times he split.
Wow.
He's got this many hands up on the table just from this 2 fours that he started with.
Right.
Well, I get a 21 and he loses everything, every single one of those. And then he continues to lose hand after hand. And we're talking like 20 hands in a row, probably like 37 out of the next 40 hands.
Oh my God.
He loses.
Those numbers are astronomical.
They are, right?
I've seen tables go hot and cold, but nothing this dramatic. This is the first time I've seen this. So, eventually he gets back down close to where he started and he starts evening out, but, despite all those ups and downs, all the guests really they just had a blast. They asked us to stay longer. We stayed an hour longer, but I feel like that unforgettable night, it just really showcases the unpredictable nature of these events and why they can create such, lasting memories for people. I mean, Chewy and I had a blast at that party too. I mean, they had a little photo thing set up and we got into a whole bunch of group pictures, and if you know me, I stay away from the camera. I don't like being in front of the camera and taking these pictures, but I've been a bunch of pictures and they left us a whole bunch of great Facebook messages the next
That's
day.
awesome.
I mean, they just had a blast, but so all the way around, it was just tons of stuff I hadn't seen before, just a wild night.
For sure.
It was great.
Well, and life is just a collection of experiences. So something like this, I mean, this is great. And it's not something that's very common. And I'm sure we might talk about it a little bit later, but do you have competition in the area that does this as well? Or are you kind of on an island under your own as far as like other casino experience companies?
We do. So I would say we do quite a bit of our business in Bay City, Saginaw, Midland area.
Okay.
We do this area. We get down into Detroit. Detroit has a lot of competition, whether it's Ann Arbor, Detroit area. Some of the national companies pushing over there. There's a company out of Chicago. If you Google casino party, they're going to pop before I do.
Sure.
Even probably for this area, they're going to pop. They pay for a lot of ads. And so I am in a national association of casino party operators group.
Okay.
And,
Okay. Yeah.
you got to be meet a certain standard to be in that group, and we work pretty well together. So I do get calls from some of those national companies. Hey, do you want to go do this event for us or whatever?
Oh, that's cool then.
But in this area, I don't have much competition. There's a company out of Frankenmuth that I have a pretty good relationship with, and we help each other out once in a while.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not out to make enemies,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
happy to work with people the best that we can. I guess the biggest issue to me is some of these companies do a bad job and they give the
sure.
industry a bad name. We'll get those calls, especially around the holidays. We had this other company out last year and their dealers didn't show up, or they didn't show up until after dinner. Can you guarantee that you're going to be there?
Right. Right.
So I hate to hear those stories.
Right.
It drives me nuts because that's not how we operate, and that's not how the companies that I work with operate.
Well, and it goes back to that old entrepreneurial statement, collaboration, not competition.
Right.
Or rising tide raises all ships.
Right.
We all just want to do a good job for, like you said, the experience, the industry, and to keep these people coming back to the events, which is so important.
Exactly.
So even some of these events, we've touched base probably a couple times on this one. You have a local one coming up with partnering with one of our good friends over at the Grand Blanc Chamber of Commerce. This is open to anyone in the area to go. You don't have to be a chamber member. So Ryan, fill us in on that Grand Blanc event.
Give us the details, man.
For anyone that wants to sign up.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just if you head over to the chamber page, you can register there. I believe it's $75 a couple, I believe is the price to get in.
Which is a great price for two people to go
absolutely.
to casino night.
Yep. And I don't know what all is included. I'm sure there's food included. You can come play the casino. I don't know what else they have planned going on. We have a meeting next week where we're going to kind of talk through everything. So unfortunately, I don't have all those details, but I know that it will be there, and I know the casino will be set up, and it will be a lot of fun.
So when you do these events, like let's say that I go, Travis is my +1. How many chips do we get? Do you have different denominations for the chips, or is it all just a chip is a chip?
We have denominations on the chips. I'm going to give you $100,000.
Oh, now we're
man.
talking.
I like this.
In fake casino chips.
Yep, that's fine.
That's all right, though.
But yeah, we got a $10,000 max bet on the table so that people don't lose all their chips on one bet. If you're playing roulette, you can bet 10,000 on multiple spots, but on any one bet, that's the max bet. The denominations are on the chips. These are like high quality 14-gram chips. So if you know anything about chips, it's about as good as it gets.
I'm not a degenerate, but I do know.
They got that sound, that real casino chip sound when they knock together. So that's what we do. We do it a couple of different ways, depending on, we work with our clients to see what's going to work best for them. But sometimes they'll just come over, we'll give them a casino cup, plastic cup that's got their chips in it, and then they can go to the tables and play. Sometimes they'll get a card when they check in, and they can bring that to the table and get the chips from the dealer at that point. So that card is worth $100,000 in chips, and they just give that to the dealer to get their chips.
Okay.
So we do it a lot of different ways. We do have chips that don't have denominations on them. So if we have clients that have something special going on, we also have clients that want to order custom chips.
I was gonna say they do custom chips on their own.
Right. So we have ways to do that. And we have some semi-local companies that can do it if they just want to do more decoration type. If they want them to be the coins that they turn in to get chips, or they want to put them on the tables, or a souvenir type thing, and they don't need that many. If they need a lot, they want to make the whole casino of those chips, then we're going to put an order into China.
Right.
Because you're talking thousands of dollars at that point to get those chips. And and we do have a couple of companies that they have their own chips and they'll reuse them. So once they buy them, then they'll have more events in the future. They can reuse those chips. And so they do disperse that large price tag out over a course of events. But
Thank you for listening to part 1 of this fantastic episode. Please be sure to join us next week for part 2. As always, support local every chance you get. We'll talk to you next week.